Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Neshaminy School Board Public Works Session, Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to do a roll call first. No matter how many years, still messing it up. Roll call, Mrs. Burns, please.
Mr. Parentano.
Present.
Mr. Allen.
Present.
Mrs. Bowman is absent with prior notice. Ms. Boyle.
Here.
Mrs. Hallenbeck.
Present.
Mr. Kovitz.
Here.
Mr. Marrington.
Here.
And Mr. Cirillo is also absent with prior notice. And Mr. Sullivan.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The board met in executive session this evening prior to this meeting to discuss matters of employment, issues related to labor relations, the purchase or lease of real property, matters related to litigation, and matters related to school safety and security. Mrs. Burns, do you have any announcements?
No announcements.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns. Dr. McGee, your superintendent's report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Parentano. Start off with November's enrollment report. We are up 50 students district-wide from the beginning of the year, and we're up 250 students from last year at this time. The question is, were we down 250 students last year? I didn't have the answer to that, but I will dig into that. So enrollment is returning, or at least raising. If you're not aware, Thursday is Veterans Day, and school is closed. That said, the day before, tomorrow, Wednesday, Maple Point Middle School puts on their 21st annual Veterans Day ceremony and salute to our veterans. This year, like last year, it's a drive-by parade. So from 11 to 11:30, our students, our first responders, and the school staff, some of them will be outside lining our driveways, and veterans from wherever they may be are encouraged to grab their vehicle and slowly roll through campus and get a deserving salute and wave from our students and staff in appreciation. Immediately following will be the virtual version of the ceremony, including speeches from some elected officials, students, staff, and a very nice production by Mr. Stanley and the Maple Point staff. That's Wednesday before Veterans Day, tomorrow. On Veterans Day itself, even though the district's closed, we will open up Neshaminy High School in a joint effort between the district and the Bucks County Vietnam Veterans Memorial Association. We will premiere the local premiere of Edison 64. It's a documentary. It's the second of this group's efforts to memorialize and discuss particular situations during that era. And this is Edison High School in Philadelphia that lost 64 members of its school population during the Vietnam era. And it's a tribute to them and a little bit of a history and documentary of some of the issues at the time. So that's Thursday at 2 p.m. at Neshaminy High School, and I believe there is a panel discussion in some way following that. So that's what's going on for Veterans Day. Mr. Parentano, that is my report.
Thank you, Dr. McGee. This will bring us to our first public comment period. Mrs. Burns, do we have any sign-ups?
Yes. Frank, I think it's Cuzio. Kozel?
Hello there, Mr. Kozel. Welcome back to the board. Nice to see you. Please state your state your name, the area in which you live, your occupation, and you have 3 minutes, and hit the button on the microphone there.
My name is Frank Kozel. I live at 1404 Center Street in Levittown, Pennsylvania. I understand that it's going to be a very important date at your very next meeting. And I want to thank, first of all, President Peritano and Dr. McGee and the rest of the school board to allow me to speak. Just thinking about what's going to happen pretty soon, I was just thinking about the different things that happened in the school board over the years and a little bit that I know that's going on today. Without question, all schools, both public and non-public, are the backbone of our democracy. I think we realize that. They provide young people with the tools they need to maintain our nation's precious values of freedom, civility, equality, and access to productive future. They are our building blocks of our great country, the United States of America. School boards are elected by the public and accountable for the performance of the public schools. They are first responsible for the students, providing them a safe environment and the necessary financial support that they deserve. School board members best serve their communities by being available to the community. Their basic goal is to provide the best education for the tax dollars spent. These are the goals of everybody that's sitting here and is serving our great community. You know, in every community, though, there's people who complain and there's people who are critics, and there's always somebody that can tell you how you do your job better. But there are very few people that step up to meet the challenge, to run where the brave dare not go, to dream the impossible dream. But there is one special person I know that stepped up to make a difference again and again and again, to take the challenge to serve, to guide the ship, to keep us on the right track. She is Mrs. Irene Boyle. 16 years ago, on December 5th, 2005, Irene took the pledge to serve the Neshaminy School Board. Irene ran and won, and she won 3 more times. She ran 4 primaries and 4 other elections, 8 elections in all. That's more than our presidents have ever done. For the next 16 years, Irene attended approximately 50 meetings a year, or 800 meetings in 16 years. Serving on the school board meant spending, or you can say, rather donating, approximately 30 hours a month on meetings and reviewing the topics of discussion. So over 16 years, that amounts to 4,800 hours. During that time, Ms. Boyle always had one goal. She only had one criteria to arrive at the decision: do what's best for our children. For her hard work and her dedication, she received $0 in salary. She received $0 in fringe benefits. But because it never was about money with her, for her it was what a real educator really does. I salute and thank you, Mr. Whale, for your service to your community. Thank you, Irene, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kozel. It's very nice to see you again. For those that don't know, Frank was a former board member. When I first got involved in the board, Frank was a member then, and I always tried to adhere his counsel because I always found that Frank was right where he needed to be and always in a position to provide guidance that was both logical and realistic. So it was nice to see you again, Frank, and congratulations again. Mrs. Boyle's going to be with us for one more meeting, and 16 years, God bless, is correct. Okay. Is there anyone else signed up? All right, there's no more sign-ups. We're going to move on with the meeting. We do have some action items tonight. We have 2.01. Adam, would you read 2.01 for us, please?
2.01, certificated staff appointments. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following appointments for certified staff. There is one name on the list.
Thank you, Mr. Kovitz. A motion's been made on 2.01. Can I have a second? Second by Mr. Sullivan. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Marrington, could you read 202, please?
Okay, 2.02 is support staff appointments. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following appointments for support staff, and there is one name on that list.
Thank you, Mr. Marrington. Motion's been made for 2.02. May I have a second? Second by Mrs. Hollenbeck. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 7-0. That brings us to our items for approval at the next public board meeting, which will be November 23rd. 3.01, routine business matters. 3.02, student settlement agreement. 3.03, Sunday facility usage. 3.04, out-of-district placements. 3.05, first reading of policy 006, 014, 903, 201, 202, 208, 210, 218, 233, and 249. 3.06 PSBA participation agreement, and 3.07 Neshaminy School District Comprehensive Plan. They will all be up for action on our November 23rd meeting. Brings us to our committee reports. Mrs. Hollenbeck, Business Operations.
Our next business operations meeting is the 16th of November, 6:30 in this room. All are welcome to come out and participate in the committee meeting. We'll be discussing mostly the budget, is that correct?
We have the budget to discuss, as well as results from last fiscal year for both the general fund as well as the cafeteria fund. We also have a review of the self-insurance for the first quarter of this fiscal year as well.
Mrs. Bowman's absent this evening. Is anybody able? Mrs. Hollenbeck, please, Educational Development.
The next educational meeting is November 30th, also at 6:30 in this room. Everybody should come out and hear about all the wonderful things that we're doing with the education for the children in the district. Thank you.
Thank you. That'll bring us to Facilities and Planning. Mr. Sullivan.
The next Facilities and Planning meeting will be November 17th. We'll be in this room, and we will be talking about the new school that's proposed to be built on this property, and the field projects.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Mrs. Boyle, Policy.
Okay, the next policy meeting is going to be held on Thursday, January 20th, and all are welcome to attend.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. That'll bring us to our representative reports. Mr. Cirillo isn't with us this evening. He's absent as well. Does we have anything from the IU board then? He's the only one that attends IU board, so we'll allow that to run over to the next public work session. Mrs. Boyle, the Neshaminy Education Foundation.
Okay, the board of the Neshaminy Education Foundation met yesterday, Monday, November 8th. Among the items discussed were several recent and upcoming fundraisers. The 2021 classroom grant applications have been distributed and are due back on December 1st. The winners will be chosen and announced at the next NEF board meeting, which will be held on Monday, December 13th at 4 p.m. at Maple Point Middle School. The community is invited to attend and join the NEF in supporting our Neshaminy schools.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. PSBA liaison is myself. There's nothing to really report. The last big action that the PSBA took was it did separate from the National School Board Association after what only could be termed as a fiasco letter that was sent on about the treating parents much differently than they should be treated and respected at school board meetings. That'll bring us to technical school. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Peritano. The Bucks County Technical High School Joint Board met on October 25th. Primarily items of housekeeping nature, personnel moves, but I would like to report on a couple events that our student representative, we had a live student representative for the first time in a while who came to speak. College representatives have been paying visits to the Bucks County Technical High School students. Those that have come, colleges include Westchester University, Johnson & Wales University, Drexel University, and Manor College. The senior class has been preparing for the NOCTI testing. I know during the pandemic years, they were given a pass on those, but that's their career development test, gives them an idea of where they stand. A lot of the employers look for their results of their NOCTI tests, so very important that we got that back on schedule. They took their pre-NOCTI test in technical areas. Students 9th and 10th are preparing for their Keystone Algebra, Literature, and Biology exams by taking the Classroom Diagnostic Tool test. It's not a predictor of how they'll do in the Keystones, but it gives them a snapshot of the students and the teachers of why and how they may be struggling or exceeding in their eligible content there. And I'll mention PSAT testing was offered to 10th and 11th grade during their in-service day, Wednesday, October 13th. Open house, very important, very big event at the tech school is occurring tomorrow evening, November 10th, between 6 and 8. If you have the opportunity, if you want to know what goes on at the tech school, what our students over there are involved with, that's an excellent opportunity. I suggest you stop by and come early because parking becomes a premium. For Neshaminy, Student of the Month at the tech school, 12th grader Taylor Reddick, and in the Schools for Life program, our student Akira Blackman. So I want to congratulate them. Very nice accomplishment, Student of the Month. And I believe, other than the College Financial Aid Night, I wanted to mention that for the students at tech school who are interested in going on to college, what process and what financial aid is available. That will be presented on November 18th between 6 and 8 in the tech school auditorium. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. That will bring us to our second period of public comment. No sign-ups are required. Is there anybody in the audience which is to approach the podium for public comment? Seeing none, we're going to move on to future topics. Any board member have any future topics? Board comment. Any board members have any board comment this evening? Go right ahead, Mrs. Boyle.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Koziel for his very kind remarks, right, you know. On my first term, Frank sat right next to me, and he kept me on my toes the whole time.
Else? Anyone else? I just want to take this opportunity. Go right ahead, Mr. Allen.
I just wanted to come back around to our Veterans Day events. As I've said a couple times, the event here in Maple Point that's going to occur tomorrow in the form of the Veterans Car Parade. I can't wait till we get back to our program as scheduled in person on the auditorium stage. The children do a fantastic job. And I love watching, sitting in the background, kind of just milling around the crowd, listening to the students talk to the veterans, and the veterans face, the interaction. I just find that makes my day. I love coming out for that. And I am beyond proud that the Bucks County veterans approached us through a friend of mine who's been very involved with veteran affairs in Bucks County to ask us if they could premiere the Edison 64 video. Just a little bit more about that. Edison High School has quite a history in North Philly. They started out kind of as manual arts technical school. But they did indeed lose 64 members of their community, became Vietnam War casualties, and that is more than any other public school throughout the entire nation. That event will occur Thursday at the high school. Doors open at 1. The video will premiere at 2. If you are available, I know it's in the afternoon, but if you're available, please come out. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Anyone else? All right, Mr. Allen conveyed about our celebration here in Neshaminy on Veterans Day. Mr. Allen's always up to date when it comes to issues related around our country and our military and our veterans, and I'm always glad to have him bring these items to the school. I can't thank Dr. McGee and his staff enough for organizing this event and making this available to everyone to come and see it. And I think, not only will it be informational, but I'm sure it'll be emotional for a lot of people, and really, get an understanding of not only what these young men lost their lives to support our freedoms, but what the real impact of war is and action on a community as well. So I'm sure it will be a very well appreciated viewing, but I'm sure very emotional for a lot of people as well. But that's what we're here for, not to get rid of history, but to embrace history, teach its wrongs, teach its rights, and let our students have that exposure to make these decisions for themselves as they go on to become the productive citizens that we hope they all will be. Just before we ask for adjournment, I just want to go over the meetings again for everyone, since we'll be closing out the school year. On 11/16 will be business operations at 6:30. 11/17 will be facilities and planning at 6:30. Our next board meeting will be 11/23, November 23rd, 7 o'clock. And our educational development meeting will be 11:30 at 6:30 in this room. And then for the public to remember, we announced it before, but I want to make sure we continue to keep the public informed. On December 2nd, we're going to have an Act 34 hearing on the proposed new elementary school at the Maple Point School campus, and that will be 7 o'clock. Is that going to be, do you know if that's going to be in this room or in the auditorium?
That's in the auditorium.
That will be in the auditorium. So that will bring us to adjournment. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. May I have a second? Second by Mrs. Hollenbeck. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all.